I'm working on more placemats. Love this pattern. Inside Out mats by Poor House Quilt Designs. Done before. It's easy, it's fast. Let me show you how I'm going to do it. So for this project, you're going to need 13 by 18 rectangles for your front and your back. So depending if you're doing different fabrics, you'll need to make sure that you have enough. The border is 3-inch strips. You'll need 16 strips all the way around. For your trim, you'll also need 16 per 4 placemats, and you'll need your foam. So depending on how many that you'll be using, and that size again is 13 by 18. So for this, I am using absolutely scraps from a cushion I made. So for this project, what I've used is the Flex Foam 2-sided fusible stabilizer. I'm using the Flex Foam. The last time I did this, it was the foam that you actually ironed the fabric onto. I'm using this naked Flex Foam. Same material on the front and the back this time. In the past, I've varied it up. Three-inch strips cut, and the instructions are the width of fabric times 3 inches, and then you just cut them in half. One of the next steps you will be doing is cutting your borders. But your fabric is doubled 3 inches, and then you're going to cut them in half and have 16 strips, 20 to 22 inches. If you're doing it like I am, they're just scrap pieces. And they have to be at least, I would say, 19 inches. Not even. 18 and a half. These are 20. And see, I'm going to cut that extra off. So that's how much extra. So they have to be over 18 and a half inches for sure. You have to have your trim. For the trim, they're asking for 1 1/4 inch strips with the fabric. Fold them in half. For 4 placemats, you'll need 16 of the half strips. You take your fabric, strips, fold them in half, and iron them in half. Right sides out, wrong sides together. Then when I load up my ironing board with those, then I use my best press. I like this just fine. Then I take my iron and then just press them while they're down in half. And that way I can do a bunch at the same time. Step 2, all they want you to do is sew your trim to your border. Raw edges together. Now I really like to use my foot that has a 1/4 inch guide on the side. I find it very helpful for most of my quilting projects, but it seems like this in particular continuous stream of trim attached to my borders, and I will take it over with my scissors cut it apart. You want to iron your trim raw edge towards your border. Do this a couple of different ways. I actually find it easier to iron on top first. Kind of just use my fingers to roll it down. And then I can flip it over and do one more press. But you just want that seam
flip
to
it
be
over.
open.
And I'm right-handed, so what I like to do is just take my left hand and take the trim, and I can feel the seam, and that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to iron it. So I'm just feeling the seam as I go along. Turn it over one more time, just make sure that that's exactly where I want it. So once you get them pressed, you're going to take off and trim them up here. You can just line them up all at once. Try to get them as straight as possible. Just do
I highly recommend this 1/4 of an inch gauge. Keeps everything lined up, squared up. Make sure that your fabric is all the way over. And at this stage, I have all my strips cut, but I want to go through it and make sure that I kind of visually look and see if I want that at the bottom, make sure that I like this at the side or the top, and go through my strips and even just kind of pin them in place so that at the end I'm not stuck with a bunch of scraps that actually just don't go together. Now in my case, my front and my back are the same, so if I just assume that this is my back, then what they want you to do is measure 4 inches down. Doesn't have to be exact.
what you want to do. And the side that I'm going to be working on is on this side, the left side. So I'm going to turn this over, and my first piece is going to be right here. But I'm not going to start sewing because another piece is going to come up underneath here. So I'm going to start sewing my piece on at this point, or just a little bit below where my pin is.
So if you have a pattern that you want this to be on this side, this to be on this side, you have to kind of rethink this because you're going to turn them inside out. So this right side is actually going to be sewn on this side. This you're going to put on this side. Right sides together, raw edges, and when you flip it, then it's going to be on your left side. So you kind of, if you've got a pattern going and you want to be a certain way, you just have to kind of keep that in mind. So this I'm going to sew here, this I'm going to sew here. I wanted them kind of even, so this is going to go low and this is going to go high. And I'm going to start sewing below my pin. And another trick that I've learned is that if your strip is too long, you're going to cut it. Strips are easily identified now because of the trim. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm I'm going to line up this edge, and I'm going to start sewing over the bottom piece all the way down, and then I am going to cut off my third strip. It's going to go here. And I'm going to sew over my trim and all the way down and cut off my tail. And on your last piece that comes underneath your initial piece, if you are overlapping, if there's scraps, I actually just like to trim them at this point because it's just a little bit easier. I know that I'm going to do it later. Might as well do it right. So you have to kind of roll the edges a little bit as you're pressing it. Kind of work the corners. And when you top stitch it, it all lays flat. I do put a couple of pins in it to make sure that I keep it straight and square. So cute. And I kind of try to do all my top stitching at once. You will see it on the back, so you want to make sure that your bobbin is set at the right tension, or if you have a better machine that you like to use for top stitching. So I like to use my threads to kind of pull at the very beginning to get going. And I'm going to sew to this intersection right here. I'm going to lift this flap up. Trim as I go. turned out great. Love them. It'll be a perfect Easter present. Inside Out Mats by Poor House Quilt Designs. Awesome!
I've been making things since I was 3. Creating is my happy place and my passion. My hope is that you feel inspired as a result of watching my videos and create something incredible. I would love to hear about it by leaving me a comment below and give a thumbs up for other interested viewers. If this is your first time here, I would love for you to subscribe because this channel is all about creativity and inspiration. I hope you feel inspired to create something amazing. Feel free to share the inspiration because life is a journey we make together.